Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Facts. We are entering the world of coffee tonight, a beverage that starts as a vibrant fruit on a living plant and transforms into a fragrance that can transform an entire space. Climate, culture, and beauty are all contained in that tiny cup. You can taste chemistry and still sense history in the way people congregate, converse, and think. Coffee has been consumed for centuries and across oceans. It has influenced midnight pages, meetings, and mornings. It can be rich and chocolatey, or clear and zesty. And even before the kettle warms, those distinctions start. Fingerprints are left by time, rain, altitude, and soil. The story even includes the water you use to brew. Please feel free to like, subscribe, or leave a comment below if you appreciate these gentle journeys. One drowsy soul at a time, it guides others to this place as well. But for the time being, you just need to unwind. As we explore the science and wonder of coffee, let your shoulders relax and your eyes grow heavy. Now let's get started. Coffee is a seed that is roasted to release its aroma. We value the plant seed that is found inside a coffee cherry. It is designed to endure. It carries food that has been stored for a future sprout and is covered in silvery skin and parchment for protection. We're doing more than just browning that seed when we roast it. In order to finally release flavors that have been trapped, we are altering its structure. Heat removes moisture. Tiny cells experience an increase in pressure. The seed can be ground because it swells and becomes more brittle. Proteins and sugars start to change into new flavors that weren't in the raw seed. The fragrance rises swiftly through those newly opened pathways after grinding and adding hot water. Despite being a tiny plant part, it can fill a kitchen. Arabica and Robusta are the two species that produce the majority of coffee. It is comparable to having two principal instruments, each with a distinct voice and temperament in a world orchestra. One is frequently cultivated for fragrance and complexity. The other is frequently cultivated for resilience and strength. They can be used for various brewing techniques, served separately or blended together. This is important because species affect what farmers can grow, where they can grow it, and the risks they face each year. It also influences what consumers anticipate from a cup. Certain coffees have a light, multi-layered flavor. Others come across as blunt and thick. You are seeing a shortcut to a much longer story when you see these names on a bag. It is an economic, weather, and genetic story. It also tells the tale of regional variations in taste customs. A cafe's menu may appear contemporary. It frequently rests on this straightforward two-species foundation underneath it. Arabica typically has a sweeter flavor and contains less caffeine. It became popular among cafes that seek nuance, in part because of this. A lot of Arabica coffees have a caramel or fruit floral flavor, and those flavors don't require a lot of sugar to feel vibrant. Additionally, the plant is picky. It is more susceptible to an increase in disease pressure and prefers stable conditions. Arabica is therefore a crop that is both beautiful and dangerous. Instead of treating it like a factory, farmers frequently treat it like a garden because minor errors can obscure the very qualities that people pay for. They might concentrate on picking carefully and processing information thoughtfully. Arabica may encourage drinkers to take their time and pay attention to details. As the bag rests and opens up, you may detect a hint of berry one day and a honey note. The next, a lower caffeine intake does not equate to a lower impact. It implies that the cup may feel elegant and profoundly alive. Robusta typically has a stronger flavor and is more Robusta is known for her strength. He can provide a punchier profile that can withstand the effects of milk, sugar, and ice, as well as a heavier body and deeper bitterness. That strength is not a weakness in many regions of the world. The point is that for farmers in difficult circumstances, Robusta can also be a lifesaver. It can withstand some of the dangers that would destroy more fragile plants, and it typically handles heat and humidity better than Arabica. Markets and habits are shaped by that resilience. It clarifies why Robusta is so important in instant coffee and some espresso traditions that value intensity. It also clarifies why Robusta is the focal point of contemporary research. In an effort to create cups that retain strength while gaining sweetness and clarity, producers are looking for ways to enhance the way it is cultivated and processed. People miss a tale of survival, adaptation, and evolving taste when they discount Robusta. The key to the flat white's fame is its milk texture. The flat white became well known throughout the world because it showcases a specific type of milk craft. Compared to many other cafe drinks, it has a thinner foam layer and is based on espresso and finely textured steamed milk. Instead of sitting on top as a separate cap, the texture should be smooth and paint-like, blending in with the espresso. The flavor is altered by that texture. Milk that has been properly stretched and steam-cooked tastes sweeter, feels silkier, and contributes to the rounded flavor of espresso without losing its flavor. The drink also highlights size. Ballast. In certain nations, a lot of flat whites are served smaller than a standard latte, which preserves the espresso flavor and keeps the beverage from becoming primarily milk. The end result is a coffee that is creamy without being heavy and strong without being aggressive, because it strikes a sweet spot that many people desire, particularly when switching from black coffee to milk drinks. This illustrates how technique can establish an entirely new category of comfort. Typically, two beans are pressed face to face inside each cherry. A coffee bean has a curved side and a flat side because of this combination. The two seeds develop in a small, cramped space inside the cherry, molding one another as they get older. There is a crease between them that later becomes a well-known hiding spot for oils and chaff while roasting. In the real world, this geometry is important. It has an impact on how uniformly heat passes through the bean and how it breaks when ground. Because flat faces stack and pack differently than rounded ones, it even alters how water moves through a bed of coffee. A tactile surprise is also present. A roasted bean's growth history is inscribed in the central line when it is split. A fruit that appears straightforward on the outside is actually a tiny two-seed cradle designed for a future plant. Instead of the typical pair of rounded seeds, a pea berry is one. Because it has the entire area to itself, a coffee cherry may occasionally produce just one seed, which grows round and plump. Since their shape affects how they roast, farmers frequently sort these to separate them. Heat is distributed more evenly on all sides of a rounded seed, which can change the roaster's rate of development. For this reason, some roasters adore them, while others view them more as a curiosity than a quality assurance. It serves as a reminder of how erratic nature can be, which is the true fascination. The typical strategy is two seeds. Sometimes, however, the plant writes a different version, while results vary depending on the same factors that shape any coffee, such as ripeness and care. A peblot can taste bright and focused in the cup. Nevertheless, the concept is endearing. 1. Cherry. One seed, one opportunity to develop into something unique. Within a few hours, coffee processing starts. Any flavor can become harsh. Coffee cherries continue to exist after they are harvested. Sugars are still changing. Microbes in the air begin to enter as enzymes continue to function. The fruit skin may split if it is left in a heap for an extended period of time, because heat may accumulate inside. Before anyone has done anything wrong at the roaster, that is when muddy, sour, or drunken flavors may start to show up. Harvest day is a race against time for good farmers. Cherries are swiftly transported to sorting tables so that any damaged or unripe fruit can be eliminated. After that, the selected approach starts, and the clock at last feels under control. When coffee comes in a tidy bag, it's easy to forget about this urgency. However, the first few hours following picking can determine whether a cup has a crisp, sweet flavor or a harsh edge that no amount of brewing expertise can cover. Fast, serene choreography frequently yields the best coffee. Because cappuccino foam insulates heat, the beverage stays warmer for longer. Foam is more than just decoration. It's drinkable physics. Tiny pockets of air are trapped in a thick layer of milk foam, and air is not a good heat conductor. This indicates that the foam prolongs the drink's warmth by reducing heat loss from the coffee underneath it. Additionally, it modifies how the beverage affects your senses. Even when the espresso underneath is strong, the first sip passes through a softer, more airy layer, which can make the coffee feel softer and more rounded. Additionally, foam has a unique way of carrying scent. The smell can feel more concentrated at the surface because aromatic compounds can stick to the bubbles. This explains why lifting the cup of a cappuccino can smell so fragrant The texture of milk is the craft. A well-made microfoam doesn't feel dry or stiff, but rather glossy and integrated. When done correctly, it adds structure and aroma to the beverage. Much like a cozy blanket, because of variations in foam and proportions, cafe and latte are not the same. Despite having similar appearances, these two drinks have different balances. In order to maintain a broad and open coffee flavor, cafe au lait frequently uses brewed coffee as the base and then adds heated milk. Espresso is usually the first ingredient in a latte, followed by additional milk and frequently a layer of microfoam. Espresso carries intensity in a small volume, so even in large cups, the espresso base makes the drink taste more concentrated. Foam is also important. The way scent reaches your nose is altered by a thicker layer of foam. Additionally, it alters the texture of the first sip, making it feel lighter and more airy before the liquid comes. When you place them side by side, the difference is clear. It has the consistency of creamy coffee. The other has a smooth, structured drink that feels like espresso stretched. These are more than just names. They are expectations, textures, and they demonstrate how coffee culture can transform the basic combination of milk and coffee into a variety of unique experiences. Espresso uses pressure to quickly extract trapped gases, producing creamer. Because water is forced through finely ground coffee by pressure, espresso is brewed in a matter of seconds, but has a concentrated flavor. What is drawn into the cup is altered by that push. Weight and a smooth texture are added when oils emulsify into the liquid. As this is going on, trapped carbon dioxide in the roasted coffee reacts with hot water and explodes. When that gas is under pressure, it creates tiny bubbles that turn into crema, a foam that has the ability to retain scents at the surface. Crema is more than just ornamentation. Although the coffee itself and the grinder may also have an impact, it is an indication of fresh, roast, and appropriate extraction. Espresso is harsh as well. The taste can change from sharp to muddy with slight adjustments to the grind size, dosage, or temp. The outcome is layered when done correctly. You may observe that brightness, bitterness, and sweetness appear one after the other. It brews quickly and lasts a long time. Due to imperfect removal, decaf still contains caffeine. It is not a magic switch to the problem is one of careful separation. Among the many flavorful ingredients that roasters wish to retain is caffeine. The difficulty, then, is to eliminate one item without removing everything else. This can be solved in a variety of ways. Caffeine is extracted by some using water, which is then filtered to remove the caffeine while retaining many flavor molecules. Some employ carbon dioxide under pressure, which has the ability to function as a selective solvent. There are also methods that apply solvents that are safe for food under careful supervision. Even when done correctly, some caffeine is still present. This explains why decaf can still have the same effects as coffee, particularly on sensitive individuals. It also clarifies the differences between taste can be influenced by processing decisions. There is no compromise with a great It is evidence of deft chemistry and skill. Depending on the water and roast, the same bean can have very different flavors. Coffee is more than just a single flavor contained within a bean. Your brewing decisions reveal a set of possibilities. The notes that stand out change depending on the roast level. Brighter fruit and floral undertones may be preserved with a lighter roast. Chocolate, toast, and smoke can be highlighted by a darker roast. Water then intervenes as a silent partner, determining what dissolves most effectively. Even when the coffee is good, brewing with mineral-deficient water can make the cup appear thin. Using extremely mineral-heavy water for brewing can push harshness and flatten sparkle. Contact time and temperature are also important. However, the biggest surprises are frequently explained by roast and water. This explains why two people can describe two different drinks while purchasing the same bag. It's not fantasy. Extraction is what it is. Coffee is a seed that dissolves in water when heated. Adjust the temperature, replace the water. You alter the narrative. Part of the wonder is that, typically, two beans are pressed face-to-face inside each cherry. A coffee bean has a curved side and a flat side because of this combination. The two seeds develop in a small, cramped space inside the cherry, molding one another as they get older. There is a crease between them that turns into a well-known hiding spot for chaff and oils during roasting. In the real world, this geometry is important. It influences how the bean fractures when ground and how uniformly heat passes through it. Because flat faces stack and pack differently than rounded ones, it even alters how water moves through a bed of coffee. A tactile surprise is also present. When you spit out a roasted bean, the central line reveals the bean's growth history. A fruit that appears straightforward on the outside is actually a tiny two-seed cradle designed for a future plant. Instead of the typical pear, an AP berry has a single round seed. Sometimes a coffee cherry produces just one seed. And because it has the entire space to itself, that single seed grows round and plump. Since their shape affects how they roast, farmers frequently sort these to separate them. A rounded seed can change the roaster's rate of development because it exposes heat more uniformly on all sides. For this reason, some roasters adore them, while others view them more as a curiosity than a quality assurance. The true allure lies in the fact that it serves as a reminder of how unpredictable nature can be. The typical plan is 2 seeds, but sometimes the plant writes a different version. While results depend on the same factors that shape any coffee, such as ripeness and care, a pea-berry lot can taste bright and focused in the cup. Nevertheless, the concept is endearing. 1 seed, 1 cherry, 1 opportunity to become something unique. Coffee processing starts in a few hours, or the flavors may become harsh. Coffee cherries continue to exist after they are harvested. Enzymes continue to function, sugars keep changing, and airborne microorganisms begin to infiltrate. The fruit's skin may split if it is left in a heap for an extended period of time because heat may build up inside. At that point, before anyone has done anything improper at the roaster, sour, alcoholic, or muddy flavors may start to emerge. Harvest day is viewed by competent farmers as a race against time. Cherries are swiftly transported to sorting tables so that damaged or unripe fruit can be eliminated. The selected method then starts, and at last, the clock feels in control. When coffee comes in a tidy bag, it's easy to forget about this urgency. However, the first few hours following picking can determine whether a cup has a crisp, sweet flavor or a rough edge that no amount of brewing expertise can conceal. Fast, serene choreography frequently yields the best coffee. Insects cannot tolerate caffeine, which evolved as a plant defense. Caffeine is not a morning boost for a coffee plant. It resembles a chemical shield more. In the wild, hungry insects pose a continual threat to leaves and seeds. Insects' nerves and behavior can be affected by caffeine, which reduces their ability to feed. Additionally, it may prevent larvae from thriving on the plant. According to some research, even tiny doses can alter an insect's ability to learn and navigate, which can be significant when the pest is attempting to return to the same food source. Caffeine is not stored in a single location by coffee plants. A layered defense that varies with risk is suggested by the fact that different tissues have varying capacities. Another twist exists. The germination of rival plants may be slowed when caffeine seeps into adjacent soil. A single molecule can shield the plant from competitors below and nibblers above ground. A coffee plant can produce fruit every year for decades. Coffee is frequently regarded as a quick commodity. However, the plant itself can last for a very long time. A single tree can continue to produce for many years if it is given proper care. Its best harvest is not sustained. In order to balance age and energy, farmers prune and manage it. There is guidance for new shoots. Older branches are pruned. Maintaining the plant's productivity without depleting it is the aim. Additionally, coffee teaches patience. It takes time for a young plant to produce a significant crop. Thus, rather than being a reward, the early years are an investment. The seasonal rhythm follows. Months go by before the cherries set and the blossoms bloom. Coffee and location are linked by that slow calendar. Timing is influenced by altitude and weather patterns, and a farm's operations follow the plant's pace. Years of consistent growth are where your cup starts. Hundreds of compounds created during roasting give coffee its scent, because a large portion of its future fragrance has not yet been developed. Green coffee has a subtle, grassy scent. Heat creates a library of volatile molecules during roasting, which can rise from the bean and enter your nose. For some, it reads like toasted nuts. Some recommend flowers, citrus, peel, cocoa, or spices. The sheer number of these notes that have not been added is astounding. They are manufactured natural sugars, acids, and amino acids react to form new aromatic families as the temperature rises. Heat and time determine which ones prevail. Many of these compounds become delicate after roasting. Long storage, light, and oxygen cause them to fade. This explains why a bag that has just been opened can smell so alive. By revealing new surface, grinding intensifies the effect. Aroma is not an optional feature. It serves as a primary flavor channel. In reality, a large portion of what you taste is the smell of warm air. Caffeine, which is still present in spent grounds, can keep some garden pests away. Coffee grounds are not chemically empty, even after brewing. For many small animals, caffeine is a biologically active substance, and some of it may still be present. With pest management in mind, some gardeners sprinkle grounds around plants or add them to compost because in some cases, the residual caffeine can deter pests. It does not take the place of good gardening techniques, and its effects are not universal. Weather can remove compounds, and different pests react differently. Nevertheless, the concept is intriguing. Even after passing through your kitchen, a plant compound that developed to protect a coffee tree can still have defensive properties. It also teaches us about the potency of caffeine as a natural signal. We consider it a stimulant for humans. However, in the realm of plants, it also conveys the message, "Do not eat me." Reusing grounds outdoors extends that message into a different environment because oils stick to fibers. Coffee odors can linger on textiles. Although coffee has an airy scent, some of it is carried by oils that can adhere to surfaces. Aromatic oils can cling to fabric fibers when you carry beans in a bag or spill coffee on clothing. This is more apparent when it's hot. A coffee smell may seem to reappear later because warm environments, such as a warm jacket or room, can release those odors once more. Because fibers differ in how well they retain oils and how readily they release them during washing. Different fabrics retain scents in different ways. Canning coffee equipment is necessary for this reason as well. Over time, oils that stick to filters, grinders, and carts may become stale and produce offensive odors. Depending on the situation, coffee residue on fabric can be either desirable or undesirable. In any case, it discloses a fact about fragrance. Aroma is more than just molecules that float. It is material as well. It adheres. It continues. Long after the cup is gone, it can still hold on to the memory of the morning. Single origin does not always equate to higher quality. Rather, it indicates a traceable region. It provides meaningful information about the coffee's origins, such as the nation, region, cooperative, or occasionally a single farm, because it links a cup to a real landscape and harvest, complete with weather and soil that shaped the seed. Traceability can be exciting. Because the flavors can seem like a place's signature, it can also make the coffee easier to discuss. However, a beautiful cup is not guaranteed by a label alone. Even if a coffee is perfectly traceable, it may still have been improperly harvested, processed, or stored. Another coffee could be a blend and have a much more harmonious flavor. The story and specificity are what make a single origin valuable. It is an invitation to compare seasons, taste differences, and observe how one location can communicate through sweetness and rumors. It is not a trophy, it is a map. Water follows the easiest routes, so grind size determines speed. Water acts like any other traveler when it comes into contact with coffee grounds. It searches for gaps. There are large spaces between particles. If the ground is coarse, water therefore travels swiftly and extracts less before passing through. The corridors get narrower, flow slows, and extraction increases quickly if the grounds are finer. For this reason, a balanced cup can become sour and thin or bitter and heavy with a single twist of a grinder. Evenness is another aspect of grind size. Mixed extraction from a brew bed with varying particle sizes can taste complex rather than perplexing. Various brewing techniques require varying speeds. With a coarser grind, A French press requires more time. Espresso requires a fine grind to provide resistance. Without touching a clock, you are altering contact time each time you switch grinds. It serves as the brewing steering wheel and has greater power than most people realize. Although finer grinds extract more quickly, they are also more prone to over-extraction. Flavor compounds quickly evaporate from small particles because they have more surface area exposed to water. That's the benefit. It is the trap as well. The initial stage of extraction can be vibrant and sweet with a fine grind. If the water continues to pull, it may then slide into harshness. These later compounds may have a sharp, drying, and woody flavor. Additionally, slower flow caused by finer grinds can cause the brew to stall, tempting people to use hotter water or longer brewing times, which can intensify bitter. Espresso is the best way to depict this drama, because the coffee was slightly too fine for that dose and that machine. A shot that appears flawless may taste rough. Fine grinding is treated like lighting a match by the best brewers. It provides energy quickly. It rewards attention and requires control. The cup feels concentrated and sweet. When everything is just right, it feels like the coffee is reprimanding you when you do something incorrectly, because they generate fewer dusty fines. Burr grinders outperform blades. A blade grinder crushes beans into a mixture of chunks and powder, acting as a tiny propeller. The reason the same brew can taste both sour and bitter at the same time is because of that mixture, while the larger pieces lag behind and add a thin, underdeveloped sourness. The smaller dust extracts quickly and becomes harsh. Burr grinders operate in a unique way. They aim for much more uniform particles by crushing beans between two surfaces that are precisely spaced apart. Clarity is brought about by uniformity. The brew becomes more predictable and repeatable. Because the grinder reacts consistently, you also have actual control over the settings. This explains why heavy burr grinders are purchased by cafes and why upgrading at home causes a significant change in coffee quality. Luxury is not the difference, it's physics. Coffee is transformed from a risk into a craft that you can truly control with a burr grinder. Cooler water extracts less sweetness, so brewing temperature is important. The sugars and aromatic compounds that give coffee its pleasing flavor are dissolved by the potent solvent that is hot water. A cup that feels sour, thin, or oddly salty can result from extraction that occurs before sweetness fully develops when water is too harsh. Which compounds predominate is also influenced by temperature. Sharper acids and heavier flavors can be highlighted by cooler brewing. In certain styles, that might be pleasing, but when you expect a rounded cup, it frequently reads as incomplete. Extremely hot water has its own hazards because if grind and time are not properly balanced, it can pull harshness. The important thing to remember is that temperature is not a backdrop. It is a significant lever. It determines the rate at which flavor transitions from solid to liquid. In colder climates where kettles and brewers lose heat quickly, this is even more important. Even if two people follow the same recipe, their brew temperatures may differ, leading to different outcomes. Temperature is frequently the secret solution when coffee tastes inexplicably weak. Due to the wide range of sensitivity, some people get jittery easily. Jitters are not a sign of weakness. They are biological. Numerous factors, such as genetics, stress levels, sleep, debt, and the amount of caffeine you typically consume, can affect your caffeine sensitivity. A daily coffee drinker may experience nearly nothing from the same dose, but someone who drinks coffee infrequently may experience a brief spike. Sensitivity manifests not only in the mind, but also in the body. A racing heart is noticed by some people. Others observe unsteady hands. Even if the day was peaceful before coffee, some people experience anxiety. It also matters how you drink. Sweet coffee can promote quicker drinking, which condenses the dosage into a brief period of time, and coffee on an empty stomach can feel stronger. Caffeine is personal, which is a helpful lesson. Instead of treating it as a challenge, you can treat it like a dial. Erletamine, slower sipping, and smaller portions can preserve the benefits without producing an unpleasant buzz. Some people find that coffee increases their stomach acid, especially when they are not eating. The first sip serves as a signal flare for the digestive system in certain bodies. Prepare yourself. The stomach receives the message. There may be food on the way. If there is nothing else in the stomach to buffer the increased acid production, it may feel warm, fluttery, or uncomfortable. There are many variations in this effect. With some roasts or stronger brews, some people notice it right away, while others don't feel anything at all. Some drinkers may find darker roasts to be smoother. However, the entire routine is frequently the true difference. Sleep, stress, food, and hydration can all alter sensitivity over time. The practical lesson is straightforward and relatable. The stomach is sensitive, and coffee is strong. If coffee ever seems too harsh, you can alter the experience without abandoning the ritual by drinking it with breakfast, lowering the strength, or taking your time. Through trade, religion, politics, and simple habit, coffee spread throughout the world. Coffee originated as a local plant and spread throughout the world as a result of people carrying it with them on their journeys. It traveled with sailors and traders. It traveled with scholars and pilgrims. It followed empires seeking reliable taxes and valuable crops. Ports turned into entry points for beans, tailies, and brewing techniques. Coffee was accepted in some places as a social life substitute for alcohol. Leaders in other locations were concerned about crowds and attempted to regulate them. Due to its ability to accommodate human schedules, the drink continued to win. It went well with long study sessions, work, and conversation. Plantations transformed labor systems and landscapes as demand increased, linking coffee to both everyday comfort and painful historical periods. As it spread across languages, even the word for coffee changed. A simple seed turned into a worldwide custom that continues to bind home kitchens, city cafes, shipping lanes, and farms together in a continuous chain. Coffee shops influenced contemporary news, business, and public discourse. Cafes were frequently gathering places where strangers sat close to one another and conversed before they became a casual stop. There was more to a good coffee shop than just drinks. It provided warmth, light, and a place to sit in an information-rich room. Coffee shops developed into locations where traders compared shipping reports and prices in cities like London. Philosophers and writers quarreled over rumors and pamphlets. People read aloud and responded in public, which caused the news to spread quickly. Some coffee shops even developed connections to particular trades, which aided in the formation of burly business networks. Over time, this culture had an impact on how societies debated concepts outside of courts and churches. It produced an area that was neither government nor home. Although it was public, it was private. The echo is still audible today. People are entering an old pattern when they get together for coffee to discuss, plan, bargain, or argue. It's a tiny cup. There may be a huge social impact. Before you even take a sip, your brain detects the aroma of coffee. The sense of smell is quick. When the aroma of coffee rises, molecules enter your nose and attach to receptors, sending signals directly to the parts of your brain that deal with emotion and memory. Because of this, the aroma may evoke a location, a time of year, or a specific individual. Additionally, it can prime expectations. Your brain starts anticipating what will happen before you taste anything. Saliva production rises, the focus becomes more acute. The body gets ready for a routine that it knows. Even with a mug that contains absolutely no caffeine, this occurs for a lot of people. A learned response can be triggered by the scent alone. Coffee can be reassuring for this reason. There is more to the cup than just chemistry. It is also a mental pattern. Because roasting and grinding release more volatile compounds into the air, they intensify aroma. Thus, the initial sip is not the start. It begins earlier. Breath, memory, and anticipation are the first steps. On the same branch, coffee cherries frequently ripen at different times. Harvest is completely altered by that one detail. A deep red cherry that is ready, a yellowing cherry that takes days, and a hard green cherry that is weeks away can all be found on one twig. Those unripe cherries can create a sharp, grassy edge if a farm removes a branch all at once. They may taste dull and fermented if they are overripe. Careful farms pick in passes. For this reason, they keep coming back, selecting only what is prepared. It is a laborious and costly process that transforms ripeness into a flavor preference. The outcome is palatable, a clean sweetness with fruit notes that seem deliberate rather than haphazard. Because sunlight and air flow vary from tree to tree, even the same field may ripen unevenly. Coffee is not a crop that is harvested consistently. It is compiled in the manner of a string of minor choices. Highlands are preferred by coffee plants because cherry growth is slowed by cooler nights. It can be a gift to move more slowly. The plant is not rushing through development when the nights get cooler. Each cherry has more time to develop complex flavors and sugars. Consider it a slower simmer rather than a rapid boil. A cup that feels more detailed and has a brightness that seems precise rather than loud can be the end result. Larger day-to-night swings are another characteristic of highlands that can stress plants in a beneficial way. In response, it produces denser seeds and thickens cherry teeth. These denser seeds often reward careful profiles with rich aromas, and they can roast in different ways. Highlands are not easy. Of course, transport is slower, and farming is more difficult in steep terrain. The weather can change rapidly. However, mountains gained notoriety for a reason in many coffee-growing regions. Although elevation does not ensure quality, it can create the conditions for coffee to taste as though it has had time to develop. Because altitude alters the way sugars form, it can intensify acidity. Acidity in coffee is not the same as sourness. It has a vibrant, lively edge that may evoke images of crisp apples, berries, or citrus. Because the cherry matures more slowly in colder climates, altitude can promote that sparkle. Acids and sugars can eventually balance in a way that feels invigorating rather than harsh. Some high-grown coffees seem to lift off the tongue because of this. Clear flavors first emerge before fading into sweetness. Additionally, altitude alters cloud patterns and sunlight intensity, which can affect how a plant photosynthesizes throughout a season. A few hundred meters can change the cup's shape from round and chocolatey to bright and fruit-forward, even within the same area. For this reason, some bags have altitude printed on them, like a badge. It's more than a statistic. It gives you an idea of how quickly things are growing and what kind of brightness you might taste when you take your first sip. Coffee that is grown in shade can help biodiversity when forests are protected. A coffee farm can be a layered habitat with trees above and below, or it can be a monoculture field. Taller trees provide homes for insects and birds, and shield soil from the sun in a well-managed shade system. Those birds can aid in pest management. The ground can be fed by leaf litter. The farm starts to resemble an ecosystem rather than a factory. Because stable microclimates and healthier soils can promote consistent ripening, this also affects taste. Shade systems aren't always flawless. Diseases can spread and productivity can decline in areas with excessive shade. Local knowledge and balance produce the best results. However, in areas where habitat is under stress, shade-grown coffee can preserve corridors of life when it is grown with true forest stewardship. Canopy trees, migrating birds, and the silent labor of soil organisms can all be connected to your morning beverage. Agricultural practices can create space for the wild. Drainage is crucial because coffee roots don't like soggy soil. Rain can be tolerated by coffee, but drowning is not. Saturated soil makes it difficult for roots to breathe, which weakens the plant from the bottom up. This weakness may manifest as undeveloped cherries, poor flowering, and yellowing leaves. Good sleep is similar to good drainage. When it works, you are unaware of it, but when it doesn't, you sense it. Fields are shaped by farmers to facilitate water flow. They select soils that do not become a sealed puddle after each storm and employ contour planting on slopes. To remove extra water, they might construct raised beds or channels in areas with higher body fat. Flavor is also impacted by drainage. Cups that feel muddled can result from uneven cherry growth caused by stressed roots. Quiet engineering is frequently involved when you taste coffee that seems stable and clean. Underground is where the romance of coffee starts. It starts with breathing roots and the air gaps between soil particles. Coffee flowers frequently bloom abruptly after being triggered by rainfall. The plant can appear serene, even unremarkable, for a large portion of the year. When it rains, a farm may appear completely different the following morning. coffee blossoms open and explode, adorning branches with tiny white blossoms that have a fresh, sweet scent. It's not just a pretty bloom. It establishes the timetable for all subsequent events. Cherry ripeness is influenced by flowering timing, which can produce several waves of ripeness if rain falls in spurts. Farmers keep an eye on the weather with stage managers' attention. Harvest can be more predictable and flowering synchronized with a timely rain. A disorganized pattern may prolong harvest and increase expenses. Coffee's sensitivity to climate is also indicated by flowering. Bloom timing may change in tandem with variations in rainfall. You might never think of flowers in the cup. However, the harvest story begins with those fleeting blossoms. They are the point at which a year's worth of work almost instantly becomes apparent. Depending on the local climate, a single plant may exhibit 2 harvest seasons. The typical 4-season cycle does not always hold true close to the equator. Rather, a year's worth of flowering and fruiting cycles can be produced by rainfall patterns. That translates to 2 different harvest seasons in some areas. Additionally, it may portend a lengthy harvest with a distinct peak, followed by a second, smaller wave several months later. Local life is shaped by this dual rhythm. The demand for labor fluctuates twice. Drying patios and mills can be busy, quiet, and busy again. Fresh coffee may arrive in different windows for roasters and consumers, which affects how supply and flavor change throughout the year. It also affects the definition of fresh crop in various nations. Harvest calendars vary, so coffee that is new in one location might be older in another. This contributes to the global complexity of coffee. Climate can cause 2 farms to have different clocks, even if they grow the same variety of coffee. People follow the plant, and the plant follows the rain. Fruit is pearly after washing, emphasizing acidity and clarity. Using this method, the sticky layer surrounding the seed is loosened with time and water, and the fruit is separated from the seed shortly after it is picked. The coffee that is left over usually tastes clear, well-structured, and readable. Many people compare it to a cup in which the flavors are distinct, like musical instruments, due to less dried fruit influence sticking to the seed during drying. That character can be particularly noticeable in coffees with citrus or floral notes. Errors are also readily apparent in washed lots. Defects are evident when picking is done carelessly. Uncontrolled fermentation may result in a thin or sharp cup. Coffee that has been properly cleaned can feel like a window into space. You may see brightness that is crisp, followed by sweetness and a neat finish. Coffee isn't louder. When you taste it for the first time, the clearer coffee may seem magical. The entire cherry is dried during natural processing, which frequently intensifies the fruity flavors. In this case, the seed remains inside the fruit during the drying process, resembling a letter enclosed in a fragrant envelope. Sugars and flavors in the pop can affect what happens inside the seed as the cherry gradually loses water. The flavors of many naturals are vividly tropical, winey, or jammy. Additionally, those who believe coffee is only bitter may be surprised by how expressive the scent can be. As part of its drama, this style can also be dangerous. Uneven drying can cause some cherries to rot while others dry too quickly, which can result in stale, disagreeable flavors. By turning cherries, distributing them in thin layers, and shielding them from the rain, producers make a concerted effort to avoid that. When done correctly, natural coffee has a distinct flavor profile. It may taste like chocolate and fruit conversing. Additionally, it may have a heavier body that lingers, as though the coffee still remembers the cherry from which it originated. Processing honey maintains sticky mucilage while balancing brightness and sweetness. Texture, not flavor additives, is what gives honey processing its name. A sticky layer of fruit that clings to the seed after the skin is removed. Dries with it, producers have the option to leave a small or large amount, which alters the work and the outcome. More mucilage increases the likelihood of unevenness and lengthens the drying process. The coffee will behave more like a washed lot if there is less. When properly prepared, honey-processed coffee frequently falls into a pleasant middle ground. It can have the cleanliness of a cleaned cup, but it also has a gentle, rounded sweetness. This approach teaches attention as well. If the coating on the seed remains too wet, it may ferment. Thus, like chefs observing a glaze, Farmers rotate beds and keep an eye on moisture levels. A cup that tastes lively and then melts into sweetness without feeling heavy or wild can be the reward. Because microbes convert sugars into acids during fermentation, flavor can be shaped. Although it sounds dramatic, fermentation is just chemistry in action. After consuming sugars, bacteria and yeasts create new compounds, containing aromatic compounds and acids that can alter the flavor of coffee. The procedure can take place inside a drying cherry or in tanks with open channels. The results are influenced by temperature, time, and cleanliness. When fermentation is done carefully, it can add complexity, such as a deeper sweetness, a brighter sparkle, or a more floral scent. Additionally, it can aid in the removal of sticky layers during washed processing, resulting in more even drying. The fact that it is partially visible and partially invisible is what makes it fascinating. The temperature can be measured, the tank can be smelled, and bubbles can be seen rising. However, the most significant changes are subtle and undetectable. Because local microbes vary, two farms can follow the same procedures and still produce different outcomes. Fermentation is a place's fingerprint in that regard. The microscopic world and farmers have a quiet partnership. Additionally, it can transform good coffee into coffee that people remember. Excessive fermentation results in off flavors. Even when roasting is flawless, the cup may become unpleasant if the fermentation process continues for too long. You may taste cheesy funk, sharp vinegar, or a dull, muddy heaviness that overpowers all other flavors in place of clean fruit notes. For this reason, fermentation is treated like bread baking by skilled producers. It's not enough to just set a timer and leave. You must keep an eye on the situation and react. The process is accelerated by heat. It slows down when it's cool. A shallow tank may behave differently from one that is filled too deeply. The rate at which sugars are consumed even varies with the ripeness of the cherries. Roasting won't save the coffee if it goes too far. Rough edges can be smoothed by heat, but previously formed compounds cannot be eliminated. In the worst situations, those flavors intensify after roasting because they reach your senses directly through aroma. It's a harsh reality. However, it also contributes to the impressive quality of excellent coffee. A tasty cup is not a lucky break. It's timing, restraint, and control. Even when the process appears to be ongoing, the most skilled producers know when to stop. Because uneven drying can retain undesirable flavors, drying speed is important. Getting coffee to a safe moisture level is only one aspect of drying. In order to prevent the seed from cracking under stress or developing sour pockets of fermentation, it is important to do it evenly. The surface may develop a hard shell that prevents moisture from escaping the center if it dries too quickly. Then, while the inside is still holding water, the outside feels ready. This mismatch can cause unpredictable flavors that manifest later as staleness or a rough finish, as well as instability during storage. However, overfermentation and mold growth can result from drying too slowly. Producers use patience and skill to resolve this. Coffee is applied in thin layers. Like meticulous gardeners, they rake it. When clouds roll in, they move it under cover. Occasionally, they complete their drying process in elevated beds that allow air to flow from below. Sunlight, wind, and human attention all come together during drying. After harvest, it is simple to assume that the hard work is over. Coffee quality is frequently lost or preserved during the drying process. Humidity and storage can mellow flavor even before roasting begins. Coffee exchanges moisture with the surrounding air because it is hygroscopic. Green coffee can absorb water if it is left in a humid environment, which will alter how it roasts later. A roaster may observe that the coffee is acting erratically, with heat passing through the seed in a different way. Humidity can promote the growth of mold or a musty smell even before roasting, particularly if the coffee is kept too warm. Overly dry air can cause the beans to become brittle and lose moisture, which can change how they roast and lessen their sweetness. Proper storage is a subtle art. To ensure that the coffee arrives tasting its best, producers and importers employ careful warehouses, stable temperatures, and protective packaging. Two bags from the same farm may taste different months apart for this reason. When the coffee is dried, the adventure is far from over. It continues through spaces and receptacles where moisture, time, and air continue to write the narrative. Green coffee ages and fades, even though it is more stable. Coffee is referred to as green before roasting since it is unroasted seed. Even though it travels more efficiently in this form, time still has an impact. Even if there is nothing overtly wrong with the cup's scent, aromas gradually fade and the cup may lose its luster. Some coffees just become quieter and less sweet, while others move toward papery notes. Storage is viewed as protection rather than convenience because heat, oxygen, and humidity accelerate these changes. Dense bags and cautious storage facilities are used by numerous producers and importers to maintain consistent seed chemistry. A seasonal rhythm is also present. While older lots may feel flatter and less distinctive, freshly harvested coffee can taste lively and structured. Although there are limits to what technique can restore, roasters learn to compensate by adjusting timing and heat. Green coffee can be thought of as a paused narrative. It does not remain motionless while it waits. Reactions that produce nutty and caramel notes may be hampered by roasting triggers. Sugars and amino acids start to react in a cascade that produces new scents when the temperature rises. One of the main causes of the comforting scent of roasted coffee is the Maillard reaction. Toast, nuts, cocoa, or baked bread are among the notes it can produce. The secret is that these aromas aren't ingredients. Rather, they are created during roasting. The speed is important. The exterior may darken, while the interior lags behind if the temperature rises too quickly. Its flavors may taste bland and baked if it climbs too slowly. In order to guide this pivotal moment, roasters listen, observe color, and follow the scent as it changes from grassy to sweet to rich. With only slight timing adjustments, the same batch can go from being light and crisp to being warm and rounded. Roasting is therefore a combination of art and science. It transforms a mild seed into something with a whole cafe's scent. Adicinaji roasting promotes caramelization, which transforms sugars into more complex flavors. The breakdown of sugars under heat and their subsequent reconstruction into darker, more complex tasting compounds is known as caramelization. It contributes to the well-known sweetness in coffee, which can resemble toffee or brown butter. Adicinaji, it adds a richer, fuller aroma and deepens the color, which begins to emerge before the roast appears very dark. This is distinct from the Maillard reaction because it concentrates more intently on the sugars themselves. Coffee's flavor is influenced by the balance of these processes and can be incredibly sensitive. If you push caramelization too far, sweetness may turn bitter. Even though the cup is bright, if you stop too soon, it might taste thin. The way a cook thinks about browning onions is how roasters think about this. At one point, sweetness blossoms. It turns sharp again at another moment. The best roasts fall into that delectable window where clarity and depth coexist. Instead of burning, the first crack is caused by steam pressure rupturing cells. The beans start making sharp, popping noises at one point in the roaster. It is a physical occurrence. And that sound is the first crack. As the bean heats up, the water inside turns into steam. The cell structure eventually gives way as the pressure increases. The bean's surface becomes more brittle and porous as it expands. This is significant because it alters the flow of heat and the subsequent development of flavor. A lot of roasters use the first crack as a doorway. The bean is still laying the groundwork for sweetness and aroma before it. It allows for the faster development of more intense and dark flavors. Adicinaji roasting feels alive and responsive because it is a moment that you can hear. At a timer, you are not speculating. A material shift is being heard by you. First crack is an excellent teaching tool because of this. It transforms roasting from a mystery into a real-time sensation. Due to the breakdown of more compounds, dark roasts have a smoky flavor. The chemistry changes as roasting goes on past the point at which sweetness becomes noticeable. Surface oils may become more apparent as some flavor compounds start to break down into simpler molecules. Here, notes that are smoky, charred, or bittersweet may take center stage. Many people enjoy the cap because it tastes bold and familiar, but it can feel heavier and more uniform. It alters scent as well. You might smell spices, toast, and something like a campfire instead of fruit and flowers. Green coffee flaws can be concealed by dark roasting, but the original character of the coffee can also be lost. That trade-off contributes to its allure. The flavor shifts from the subtleties of origin to roast craft. Additionally, dark roasts dissolve easily, making extraction seem simpler to many home brewers. Coffee is frequently described as tasting dark when someone says it tastes strong. It has its own devoted culture and is intensified by heat. Because less of the original character is roasted away, light roasts preserve it. The aim is restraint with lighter roasting, in order to preserve more of the characteristics that the coffee brought from the farm, such as fruit tones, florals, and a crisp sort of brightness. The roaster stops earlier. The flavor of these coffees can be surprisingly bright. Citrus is hinted at in certain cups. Others recommend delicacies like stone fruit or tea. Additionally, this style demands more of the brewer. Light roasts can punish a negligent grind or an overly cool brew because they are denser and less soluble. When properly brewed, they can have the flavor of geography. Because the roast isn't the main attraction, you can more easily distinguish regional and variety differences. Being weak is not the goal of light roasting. It's about being precise. Instead of focusing on volume, it encourages you to pay close attention to details. The first great light roast is a revelation to many drinkers. It disproves the notion that coffee must have a bitter flavor in order to be considered coffee. It can have a bright, sweet flavor while still being incredibly fulfilling. The extraction behavior is altered by the days-long release of carbon dioxide from roasted beans. Coffee contains a lot of trapped carbon dioxide from roasting because of the heat. Over time, the gas gradually and unevenly escapes through the bean's microscopic channels. Brewing is actually impacted by this. An uneven extraction and a cup that feels hollow or sharp can result from too much gas interfering with water contact. Brewing frequently stabilizes over the course of the day. Sweetness can become more accessible and flavors can open up. This is evident during a pour-over, when gas erupts in fresh coffee puffs and foams, because everything is amplified by pressure and fine grinding. Espresso is particularly sensitive. In order to allow gas to escape without allowing oxygen to flood in, roasters frequently package coffee with one-way valves. A living process is quietly acknowledged by that tiny valve. When the heat is turned off, roasting continues. As the beans breathe out, they continue to change. And it might take a few days before your best cup shows up. Because trapped gas prevents wetting, fresh beans can withstand water. The grounds of very fresh coffee may appear to be attempting to float away from the brew when they come into contact with hot water. That is the pushback of carbon dioxide. Water finds it difficult to enter the tiny pockets created by trapped gas in the grind, which can lead to uneven extraction. While some particles remain dry in the middle and contribute little, others quickly become soaked and lose flavor. Brewers create straightforward solutions that have a ceremonial quality. A bloom, a brief pre-wetting step, is frequently used by pour-over drinkers to help water reach more surfaces and let gas escape. Crusts that rise and bubble have the same effect on immersion brewers. The unexpected flavor of fresh coffee can also be attributed to this resistance. It smells amazing, but if you treat it like an older batch, it may brew poorly. It's as if the coffee hasn't finished roasting yet. Allow it to release its breath. After that, it starts to share its flavors more readily. Espresso can be improved by resting after roasting because it reduces excess gas. Espresso amplifies minute factors because it is a high-pressure brew. Channeling may result from too much carbon dioxide and overly fresh beans. Water scours through the puck's weak spots, leaving other parts under Even with good technique, the final product may taste thin, sharp, or strangely unbalanced, because it lowers the gas load and improves flow predictability. Resting is beneficial. A lot of baristas get to know each coffee's personality. Some taste best after a little relaxation. After a longer pause, others come to life. Aroma may become more distinct during this period, and sweetness may seem more accessible. Although it is a strong lever, this rule does not take the place of skill. It builds suspense as well. On day 1, a coffee may smell fantastic, but on day 5, it may perform at its peak. You're not just brewing, the coffee wants to be brewed right now. So you are meeting it. Recipes for roasting profiles are adjusted for bean moisture and density. In the green, 2 coffees may appear similar, But when they come into contact with heat, they behave differently. Dense, hygrocaffe requires a more steady approach because it absorbs heat more slowly. If pushed, a softer, lower density coffee runs the risk of turning harsh. Because drier beans can outperform wetter ones, and wetter beans require more energy to drive off water, moisture content is also important. In response, roasters create profiles that show how heat and airflow change over time. Reaching a final color is not the only goal of the profile. It is about influencing the coffee's evolution over time. For this reason, roasting appears to be cooking. You make an ingredient adjustment. You decide on a speed. Balance is what you strive for. Excellent roasters take notes and repeat what works, but because crops vary from year to year, they also adapt to each harvest. The profile is ultimately a bridge. Your cup will reveal the flavors that the farm cultivated. Because they extract too quickly, even tiny fines can contribute bitterness. The tiniest particles in a grind, known as fines, act as flavor due to their small size. They can be quickly stripped by water, which frequently removes bitter and drying compounds early in the brewing process. In pour-over brewing, fines also migrate. They have the potential to clog the filter, slowing the flow and increasing extraction. A cup may taste heavy, drab, and too strong as a result. Different beans produce varying amounts of fines, even if your recipe appears to be correct. This is particularly true when the beans are roasted darker or have a fragile structure. One reason two grinders set to the same size can taste completely different is because different grinders produce different fines. Brewers use technique to handle fines. To prevent turning them into a paste, they modify the pouring technique. They occasionally search for particular brew styles. It serves as a reminder that coffee is more than just flavor. Since it is a physical substance, even minute particles have the power to influence the entire result. Because minerals have an impact on balance and solubility, water chemistry alters taste. Since water makes up the majority of coffee, the character of the water is incorporated into the drink. Certain flavorful compounds are extracted from the grounds by minerals like calcium and magnesium, which can boost body and sweetness. Incorrect mixing can have the opposite effect. Coffee that contains water tastes flat, as though the flavors are unable to leave the tongue. Coffee with other water tastes harsh, as if the bitterness has been amplified. Aroma is also influenced by water chemistry. Because the brew more efficiently transports those volatile compounds to your senses, the same beans may smell more intense when extraction is balanced. This explains why coffee, even from the same chain of cafes, can taste different in different cities. Many serious cafes filter and remineralize their water for the same reason. They're not attempting to be elegant. They're making an effort to be reliable. The background of water is not neutral. Coffee can either shine or sulk thanks to this ingredient, which has its own invisible personality. Because extraction lacks structure, too soft water may taste bland. It can be difficult for very low mineral water to extract enough from coffee grounds, particularly the compounds that give a cup its pleasing sweetness and roundness. Even if the coffee smells promising, the outcome may feel empty, as though the cup lacks a backbone. It may taste as though the notes are there, but faint. Sometimes people react by brewing longer or grinding finer, but this can highlight bitterness without providing the fullness that is lacking. This is a frustrating type of pour cup because there isn't a glaring defect. It just seems lackluster. Espresso is also impacted by soft water, as extraction requires the proper chemistry to create body and balance. It's often referred to as chasing their tail by baristas. There is never a repeatable sweet spot for the coffee. The unexpected lesson is that a small amount of mineral content can be advantageous. It facilitates the complete dissolution of flavors. Soft water can make coffee's solution too thin to be satisfactory. When flavorful acids are bound by too hard water, brightness can be muted. Certain compounds in coffee, particularly the acids that give it a vibrant, sparkling flavor, can be absorbed by water with a high mineral content. You can get something heavier and duller, as though the top notes have been padded down in place of a bright, clear cup. In addition to leaving scale in kettles and espresso machines that alter temperature and flow over time, hard water can produce a chalky mouth. Because stable heat and pressure are necessary for brewing, that mechanical impact turns into a flavor impact. When this occurs, people tend to blame the beans. However, the tap may be the true offender. Because the water is pulling the profile toward the ground, a coffee that should taste like citrus or berries may instead taste like muted cocoa and bitterness. For this reason, cafes take water seriously. They adjust it so that sweetness is extracted without sacrificing brightness. Coffee sings when the water is good. Water that is too hard may sound as though it is singing through a thick wall. A bloom helps more coffee come into contact with water by releasing trapped gas. A puffing, bubbling rise is frequently observed when a small amount of water is poured over fresh grounds. When the grounds initially get wet, carbon dioxide is escaping. Parts of the coffee never fully participate in extraction because gas pockets may prevent water from reaching certain surfaces in the absence of a bloom. Blooming is a straightforward pause that increases equity. In order for later pours to extract more consistently, it allows the brew to get evenly wet. Additionally, the bloom tells a tale. While a quiet bloom may indicate older coffee or a very dark roast that behaves differently, a lively bloom frequently indicates fresher roasting or fresher grinding. While excessive agitation can result in fines, some brewers swerve or stir during bloom to help wet all particles. Blooming in and of itself is not a ritual. It is a useful step that improves the bed's consistency. Like opening a door before entering, it transforms the initial moments of brewing into a preparatory stage. Oils are captured by paper filters, making the mouthfeel and cup cleaner. Richness can be added by the flavorful oils found in coffee. However, a cup may also feel muddy or heavy due to those same oils. Many of them are captured by paper filters, along with other small particles that might otherwise find their way into the beverage. The end product is frequently brighter and clearer, with more pronounced flavors that are simpler to detect. This explains why, even when made from the same beans as a French press, Perova coffee can have such a distinct flavor. Aroma is also influenced by a paper. Lighter notes that drift up from the cup can be emphasized by reserving some heavier compounds. Additionally, different papers produce different outcomes. If thoroughly rinsed, some don't add much of their own flavor. If ignored, others may add a subtle papery note. The thickness of the filter influences flow rate, which in turn influences extraction. Thus, a straightforward piece of paper turns into a silent engineering feat. It molds balance, clarity, and texture, and without altering anything else, it can transform the same cup of coffee into a completely different experience. Coffee has a heavier texture because metal filters allow oils to pass through. Rather than a fine net, a metal filter functions as a wide gate. It immediately alters the experience by allowing more natural coffee oils and small particles to enter the cup. Even without milk, the mouthfeel thickens and occasionally becomes nearly creamy. The finish may last longer on the tongue, and flavors may feel darker and rounder. For this reason, the same beans may taste richer and heavier through metal, but brighter and cleaner through paper. It's not just taste, it's also texture. Additionally, texture influences what your brain perceives. For comfort, many people prefer metal-filtered coffee, particularly in immersion brewers and certain reusable filter systems. For those who prefer clear clarity, paper is preferred. Neither is more accurate. Similar to listening to a song through speakers as opposed to headphones, they are two distinct interpretations of the same roasted seed. The slow extraction of cold brew frequently reduces the perceived acidity and bite. Because cold water reacts with coffee chemistry more slowly, cold brew has a smoother texture. Deeper notes like cocoa and toasted sweetness can overpower many of the bright, sharp sensations people associate with hot coffee. Additionally, the long steep extracts a lot of soluble material, allowing the drink to be potent without having an overpowering flavor. It has a subdued intensity. It also modifies the behavior of aroma. Fewer aromatic compounds are released into the atmosphere because the beverage is cold. Thus, until the flavor warms up on your tongue, it may feel softer and more subdued. Another layer of flexibility is added by cold brew concentrate. It retains its essential qualities, even if you dilute it with water, add milk, or pour it over ice. When done correctly, it has a distinct flavor. Not just cold coffee, time is transformed into a flavored tool through this gradual extraction process. The difference between cold brew and iced coffee is that the former is brewed hot. Hot water is the first step in making iced coffee, which quickly brings out bright notes and scents. The brew is then quickly cooled. More of the vibrant, high-tone flavors that people enjoy in hot coffee are typically retained along that route. Cold brew does the opposite, even when it's poured over ice. It starts cold and remains cold, which frequently results in a less sharp and smoother profile. With the same beans, the difference can be striking. While cold brew coffee can taste round and chocolatey, iced coffee can taste crisp and vibrant. How you handle dilution is also altered by the brewing decisions. If I melt too much, hot brewed coffee may become watery. A lot of people chill it before serving or brew it stronger. In order to handle ice more easily, cold brew is frequently concentrated from the beginning. 2 cold drinks, 2 different tailies. Despite its concentration, espresso frequently contains less caffeine per serving. Espresso has a strong flavor and texture that makes it feel like a bolt. The taste comes quickly, the scent is strong, and the shot is tiny. However, caffeine isn't just for focus, it also has to do with volume. A full mug of brewed coffee is much larger than a typical serving of espresso. Therefore, even though the drink tastes stronger, the total amount of caffeine may be lower. People are surprised by this because of the strong sensory impact. Additionally, espresso has a unique pace. Because you drink it quickly, the effects may be felt right away. The ritual also plays a role. The warm cup, the sound of grinding, and the brief drink at a bar. All of this is telling your brain to wake up. Espresso serves as a reminder that the amount of caffeine and the intensity of the flavor are not the same. One concerns the amount dissolved in each sip. The other concerns your overall alcohol intake. You actually drink more liquid because water has more time and space to extract caffeine from the ground. It also explains why a large brewed coffee can make someone feel wired after a single espresso. For a drink to be powerful, it does not have to taste aggressive. The hidden variable that many labels fail to highlight is serving size. Compared to what you pour at home, a cafe small may be significantly larger. Additionally, refills subtly increase the sum. This is why discussions about caffeine can become perplexing. Drinks are compared based on style. However, the amount that ends up in the cup should be the first point of comparison. Within an hour or so, caffeine levels in the blood peak. Caffeine does not function as a light switch for a lot of people. Food, hydration, and personal biology can all affect the timing. As a result, 2 people can share a drink and experience the boost at different times. Because they believe the first cup did nothing, someone drinks a second one too soon. That is felt by the body as an abrupt surge. Caffeine can feel more predictable if you understand the arc. It has to do with how your body absorbs it after you drink it. The length of time that caffeine keeps you awake depends on your genes. After sharing the same cup of coffee, 2 friends can end up living in different worlds. One feels fine and focused late into the night, the other is up. Caffeine can be eliminated from some bodies rather quickly. The stimulating effect can last much longer for those who clear it more slowly. Lifelong habits can be shaped by this difference. There are other factors besides genetics. Clearance can also be impacted by age, pregnancy, certain drugs, and general liver health. Long before you drink your first latte, your relationship with caffeine is partially written in your cells. Your brain increases the pressure to sleep as the day goes on. Adenosine is one molecule that contributes to that pressure. It binds to receptors and contributes to the feeling of being heavy and ready to sleep. Caffeine binds to those receptors without causing them to become active. As a result, the signal that indicates fatigue is diminished. It's crucial to remember that caffeine doesn't lower blood pressure. It conceals the intensity of your feelings. The reason coffee can feel so effective before it feels energizing is also explained by this. Energy addition isn't always the case. It frequently reduces the sense of exhaustion. Since one of the brakes has been removed, your thoughts are more clear. The dashboard warming light is dimmed, but the body is still the same. Due to its lengthy half-life, coffee can have an impact on sleep, even when consumed early in the day. The half-life of caffeine indicates that it takes time for the body to cut its level in half. Some adults may have a half-life of several hours, while others may have a longer half-life. For this reason, even if you feel relaxed at bedtime, you can still have an afternoon cup. You may wake up more easily, sleep lighter, or take longer to fall asleep. The tricky part is that since the coffee was consumed hours ago and the day seemed normal, you might not be able to make the connection between cause and effect. Often, timing is more crucial than strength. Stronger coffee in the morning may not be as important as a small cup of coffee later. It is possible that those who claim coffee has no effect on their sleep are making assumptions based on how quickly they fall asleep. However, the quality of sleep can change subtly. The simplest solution is to set an earlier cutoff time that corresponds with your own body's pace if you want coffee. And restful sleep, certain compounds and roasting changes that once predominate are responsible for coffee's bitterness. Coffee's bitterness is not a single flavor. As heat transforms the bean, a chorus of compounds rises and falls. The natural chemistry of the bean produces some bitter notes early in the roasting process. As roasting progresses, some bitter compounds decompose into distinct flavors, while others form new ones. Because of this, bitterness can feel harsh and ashy in one cup and clean and cocoa-like in another. The way bitterness manifests itself is also determined by brewing. Similar to how dark chocolate bolsters sweetness, a well-balanced extraction can allow bitterness to function as structure. When very fine particles predominate in the brew, an uneven extraction can produce a sharp, lingering bitterness. Considering bitterness as a tool instead of a weakness is helpful. Brewers and roasters can strive for bitterness that tastes deliberate rather than accidental. When done correctly, it adds depth and contrast to coffee and highlights sweetness. When people say that coffee is acidic, they usually mean that it tastes bright and lively, like the snap of a crisp apple or the squeeze of citrus. Coffee's acidity is not just a low pH. Its flavor, brightness. Using a pH meter to measure acidity is not the same as that feeling. Many varieties of coffee can taste very different in terms of brightness, even though their pH values are similar. There are differences in the types of acids that are present, how they balance sweetness, and how they are presented during roasting and brewing. When sweetness follows the sparkle, a bright cup can feel clean and a cup that has been extracted incorrectly may taste sour, which is an entirely different experience. Under extraction, which prevents sweetness and deeper flavors from fully penetrating the beverage, is frequently the cause of that sourness. This explains why, depending on the grind, water temperature, and time, the same coffee can taste sharp one day and gorgeously bright the next. One of the most intriguing characteristics of coffee is brightness, which is a flavor shape. The majority of flavor is carried by aroma, but the tongue detects sweetness and bitterness. The coffee may appear oddly bland if you pinch your nose and take a sip. Acidity, sweetness, and bitterness are still detectable on the tongue. However, the coffee's distinct identity wanes. This is due to the fact that a large portion of flavor is actually aroma that travels up to the nose from the back of the mouth during swallowing. Because roasting produces a lot of volatile compounds that evaporate quickly, coffee is particularly rich in these aromatic signals. Because of this, coffee can taste like flowers, berries, or nuts without actually having any of those ingredients. Your brain is associating memories with scent patterns. Whole beans smell quieter than fresh grounds because grinding releases aroma more quickly. The method of brewing also matters. Even when you think you are just tasting coffee, your nose is doing a lot of the work. A cold eliminates the smell, and coffee starts to taste oddly bland. The effects of a blocked nose extend beyond altered breathing. It blocks the primary route that conveys coffee's personality. Coffee's vibrant notes that give it life are primarily aromatic. Even if you are in good health, this experiment may be beneficial. After tasting coffee, hold your nose and taste it once more. It can be shocking to notice the difference. It demonstrates how much coffee is consumed in the air as opposed to only as a liquid. It also clarifies why aroma feels so potent during the brewing process. Coffee is multifaceted when you can smell it all. Your information channel changed, but the cup remained the same. Because proteins bind some bitter molecules, milk alters the chemistry of coffee. Coffee can feel smoother and more rounded when milk proteins bind to specific compounds that add astringency and bitter. Additionage fat influences mouthfeel, adding weight and softness to the beverage that water alone cannot. Additionage temperature is important because warm milk more clearly conveys sweetness, whereas overheated milk can taste cooked and lessen the freshness of the cup. Because different milks have different amounts of fat and protein, they behave differently. Thus, the same espresso may taste silky with one option and sharp with another. This chemistry contributes to the allure of coffee cultures. Because milk interacts with the compounds already present in the brew, a single shot can become multiple drinks, each with its own texture and balance. Even though the aromatic compounds in coffee are the same, many people notice that it suddenly smells more fragrant. Attention is what has changed. Bitter signals are no longer the main focus of the brain. The sum is important. While a lot can overpower and make everything into dessert, a little bit can serve as seasoning. Culture is important as well. Sweet coffee is not a compromise, but rather a comforting tradition in some places. The intriguing thing is that sweetness is more than just a flavor. It is a perception shaper that has the power to reframe the entire drink, much like altering a room's lighting. By changing how taste is perceived, small amounts of salt can lessen bitter. When used properly, salt is known to enhance the flavor of food, and coffee is no exception. A harsh cup can feel smoother without tasting salty when salt is used in very small amounts to reduce the perception of bitterness. This isn't magic. Taste biology is what it is. Salt ions can change the ratio of bitter to other tastes and affect how signals are processed. It's comparable to how adding a pinch of salt can enhance the flavor of chocolate. The secret is moderation. An excessive amount of salt ruins the cup and makes it obvious right away. A small quantity can serve as a silent editor, smoothing out sharp edges to make sweetness and aroma more noticeable. Some people use this trick to make instant coffee more palatable, while others use it for over-extracted coffee. It also serves as a reminder that coffee is more than just chemistry. It is a sensory experience. Seasoning can influence what your brain and tongue hear, which is part of the recipe. The amount of antioxidants in coffee varies depending on how it is roasted and brewed. Coffee is more than just aroma and caffeine. Additionally, it contains a variety of substances that have antioxidant properties, such as polyphenols and chlorogenic acids. The intriguing thing is that roasting alters this terrain. As heat degrades certain antioxidants, new compounds are created that may also contribute to antioxidant activity. Brewing decisions are also important. Filtration, temperature, and contact time all affect what gets into the cup. While a paper filter can eliminate some greasy ingredients, a longer brew can draw in more soluble substances. This does not make every cup of coffee the same or turn it into a medication. Coffee becomes a dynamic object, shaped by farming, roasting, and brewing. The surprise for a listener is that a well-known beverage has a secret chemical library that changes depending on the craft. Because of the manufacturing process, two cups may have different tastes and antioxidant profiles. In addition to being a beverage, coffee is a dynamic chemical story. Filters can reduce terpenes, which are oils found in coffee. Coffee and cow oil are two examples of the natural oils used by coffee. Unfiltered coffee can feel rich and substantial because of these factors, which also affect flavor and texture. The amount of these oils that make it to your cup depends on the brewing technique. While metal filters and techniques like the French press allow more through, paper filters catch a large portion. This distinction goes beyond academics. This explains why a French press can taste fuller and more coating, while a paper-filtered brew can taste cleaner. These oils can alter the duration of fragrance after a sip because they also carry aroma. Filters function like a chemical daykeeper, despite the fact that people frequently view them as a straightforward convenience. They choose which compounds move forward and which remain with the grounds. It is yet another illustration of the subtle complexity of coffee. A small piece of equipment can alter the drink's taste, balance, texture, and even chemical makeup. After brewing, instant coffee is dried into crystals or powder before being transformed into a shelf-stable product. Instant coffee was simply real brewed coffee produced on an industrial scale. In order to preserve the flavor solids, producers extract a concentrated, potent liquid and eliminate the water. Freeze-drying and spray-drying are two popular methods. Using hot air, spray-drying turns liquid into a mist and the droplets dry while in flight. By removing ice under low pressure, freeze-drying protects more delicate aromas and begins at a lower temperature. The objective is the same in either case. Without a grinder or other equipment, create a product that dissolves rapidly, transports easily, and tastes recognizable as coffee. Additionally, it addresses a problem that coffee has always had: speed. Coffee was introduced to areas where fresh brewing was difficult thanks to instant coffee. From late-night dorm rooms to remote work locations, in a matter of seconds, one spoon can make a cup. And coffee habits around the world have been influenced by this convenience. Since freeze-drying avoids excessive heat, aroma is better preserved. Coffee is first brewed and then frozen into a solid sheet or granules to begin the freeze-drying process. The ice is then extracted by directly converting it to vapor under low pressure. Many aromatic compounds are less likely to be harmed or driven off by heat because the process remains cold. This is significant because coffee's personality resides in aroma. This is frequently the reason why a freeze-dried instant coffee smells stronger than you anticipated. Because the process is labor-intensive and slow, freeze-dried instant is typically more expensive than However, it provides an almost magical experience. With surprisingly little loss, it can take a picture of brewed coffee and save it for later. It can be like having a little cafe in your pocket for people who travel or have hectic mornings. It also serves as a reminder that coffee is more than just roasting and farming. Pressure and phase changes are used in food science to preserve flavor. Cafe culture was shaped by machines and engineering, which made espresso popular. Espresso and the machine that produces it are inseparable. A new type of beverage was made possible when engineers discovered how to use pressure to force hot water through compressed coffee. Quick, focused, and consistent, the rhythm of the cafe was altered by that speed. A bar could serve drinks on demand rather than waiting for a pot to finish. Made to order, each one. A new craft was also produced by machines. Baristas started to think like technicians, precisely controlling temperature, monitoring flow, and fine-tuning the grind. The cafe evolved into a location where hospitality and technology converged at the counter. The soundscape also changed. The sound of grinding, steaming, and a porterfilter clicking became a part of the atmosphere. Espresso machines did more than just make coffee better. They altered how people congregated, how long they stayed, and what they anticipated from a publicly served cup. The machine became a cultural symbol in many cities, indicating that coffee could be made quickly and ceremoniously. As a reflection of its worldwide travels, the word coffee appeared in many languages. The name is a map in and of itself. People adapted the sound of coffee to suit their own tongues as it spread throughout different regions, changing the edges while maintaining a distinctive core. Words like tower, cove, calf, cafe, and coffee have a family resemblance. Despite the fact that each language has its own rhythm, the similarities reveal something profound and straightforward. The beverage did not proliferate on its own. Rather, it did so through interaction, commerce, and dialogue. Only when a word is used with other people does it spread. Additionally, the changing pronunciation demonstrates how coffee became regional. A borrowed word can acquire new meanings and rituals and become a native one. It indicates a short, powerful cup in one location. In another, it indicates an extended social visit. You are echoing centuries of movement when you utter the word today. Merchants, sailors, marketplaces, and kitchen tables are all carried by the sound. Coffee is 4 syllables that contain world history. Through ports, coffee made its way to Europe, where it spread along with new social customs. Goods become habits in ports. News, textiles, and spices arrived with bags of beans. And inquisitive consumers made a foreign product a daily ritual. Coffee originated in areas close to docks, marketplaces, and busy streets, where locals and tourists interacted in many European cities. Entrepreneurs who realized that people wanted more than just a drink took it inland from there. They desired a location for it. Coffee encouraged a different kind of daytime pause that didn't call for a meal or a party. It might be a quick stop or a lengthy discussion. Every city developed its own traditions, such as lingering at a table or standing at a counter. Climate, class, and local preferences all influence the ritual. Alongside it, the cultures of sugar, milk, and pastries changed. What started out as cargo turned into a routine. Beans arrived from a port. Then the city came up with a new way to pass the time. Some local governments temporarily outlawed coffee because they were concerned about crowds. Ideas come together when people come together. Leaders were concerned that coffee shops provided an environment for organizing, gossip, and criticism at specific times and locations. There were other issues besides coffee itself. The room it created, full of conversation that was difficult to control, was the cause for concern. Bans thus emerged, sometimes disguised as public order, and other times as moral laws. Since demand did not go away, they were frequently transient. Restrictions were circumvented, and the beverage continued to be consumed, dragged back by custom and the allure of a hot cup in company. The social power of coffee is revealed by these bans, which makes them fascinating. A drink took on a political dimension. It was sarid, not because it was uncommon. A government acknowledges the importance of conversation when it attempts to control where people can sit and talk. Coffee did not prevail by coercion. It prevailed because it was a social glue that was pleasant, helpful, and difficult to replace. Coffee shops came in early third because they provided warmth at an affordable price. Neither home nor work constitute a third location. It's a place where you can coexist with people without having to host or answer to them. Because they provided warmth, light, and a reason to stay for the cost of a cup, coffee shops became that for a lot of people. It provided breathing room during the day for someone who lived in a cramped space or worked long hours that were important. You could listen, write, read, or just be around other people. If you believe that cafes are just about taste, it's easy to ignore this role. They also have to do with permission and shelter. Even now, a cafe can have its own unwritten rules and rhythms and feel like a tiny public living space. Space is the real product, but the drink is the ticket. This explains why coffee shops can be found in so many different cities and cultures. They address the fundamental human dilemma of where to go when you want to perform or be by yourself. Rather than in offices, some of the earliest stock talks took place over coffee. Early financing required trust, which frequently develops in regular gathering places. Coffee shops offered a trustworthy environment where business owners could directly compare shipping reports, costs, and risk. Because reputations were on display, private promises felt safer in a public setting. The room would remember if someone spoke carelessly. If someone was trustworthy, it was magnified in the room. One way that commerce becomes social is in this way. Conversation, not screens, carried information. Additionally, coffee kept people focused enough to pay attention to specifics. Long conversations were also made more comfortable by the drink because it provided a reason to stay seated. Networks developed over time. For some types of deals, people knew where to find the appropriate crowd. Although they assisted in its public organization, coffee shops did not create finance. It's a powerful idea. Ordinary cups and tables, where conversation became numbers and numbers became decisions, are the foundation of today's trading world. Long work shifts fueled by coffee have altered labor patterns for centuries. Coffee plays both a chemical and a cultural role in the workplace. A warm, caffeinated beverage provides a structured break that fits into a hectic schedule and helps maintain focus. As coffee became more accessible, it supported working longer hours in offices and workshops where alertness was crucial. It also altered the definition of a break. People could take a quick break, have a drink, and then resume their activities instead of just pausing for meals. Schools, factories, and eventually business life all adopted that pattern. Coffee evolved from a beverage to a time management tool. It also started to serve as an identity marker. The day officially began with the morning cup. The afternoon cup represented perseverance. There is a human side to the shift. Coffee is associated with pressure, ambition, and productivity. You are holding a tiny piece of industrial and social history that has been shaped by the will to persevere when you hold a cup on a weekday morning. From tiny cups to enormous mugs, coffee culture varies everywhere. The same seed gives rise to wildly disparate customs. Coffee is sometimes served in small, powerful portions that are intended to be consumed quickly. In others, it comes in the form of a big drink designed to last through a meeting or a commute. In addition to size, Attitude also makes a difference. Coffee is treated as a brief ritual with specific rules in certain cultures. Others view it as an adaptable companion that is infinitely customizable. Local life is reflected in the serving style. Try matters because cooler locations may lean toward warmth, while hotter locations tend to favor iced formats. Food customs are also important because coffee is sometimes paired with savory snacks in one area and with pastries in another. Social norms also change. While one cafe expects privacy and headphones, another encourages conversation with strangers. Coffee remains interesting in part because of its diversity. It is not a single worldwide beverage. It is 1,000 regional variations of the same concept, influenced by daily rhythm, taste, and history. Turkish coffee has a thick texture because the grounds stay in the cup. The coffee never completely separates from the liquid because this type is brewed without filtering. Lastly, water, often with sugar, added during brewing, is heated and then poured over the ground coffee to allow the ground to sink to the bottom. It's a part of the experience to settle. The final sips are unaltered because the grounds form a soft layer similar to silt in a riverbed, but the first sips may feel dense and velvety. The drink has more suspended particles because nothing is filtered out, which gives the flavors a strong, lingering taste. The technique also encourages heat awareness. It may taste rough if it boils too hard. It can have a rounded, fragrant flavor if warmed gradually. Turkish coffee serves as a reminder that extraction is only one aspect of brewing. Additionally, it is the choice to keep the coffee present until the very end, as well as texture and tradition. Ethiopian coffee ceremonies place a strong emphasis on sharing and roasting rather than hurrying the beverage. In many Ethiopian households, coffee is not regarded as a fast drink. It is viewed with asa, gathering that fosters unity. Since green beans are frequently roasted in the same space, the aroma permeates the entire gathering and is shared by all. After the roasted beans are ground and brewed, the coffee is served in tiny cups while the conversation goes on. The ceremony's pace is what makes it so captivating. Instead of using the drink as a tool for productivity, it invites people to stay, be present, and let it be a reason for connection. Additionally, the steps keep coffee near its source. Given that Coffea Arabica is generally acknowledged to have originated in Ethiopia, the ceremony feels like a living link between the past and present in this way. In addition to tasting coffee, you can also sense its social design, designed to transform a commonplace plant into a moment of community. Italian espresso shops encourage short, standing sips rather than long ones. Espresso culture in much of Italy is centered around rhythm and speed. People frequently approach the bar, place their orders, have a drink, and leave in a matter of minutes. The design incorporates standing. Instead of a room full of extended stays, it maintains the cafe as a flow of quick encounters. The drink itself is shaped by this. The espresso is served hot, small, and prepared for focused consumption. It is frequently served with a quick glass of water. Regulars develop a relationship through repetition rather than lengthy conversations, and the barista becomes a consistent presence. A democratic vibe is also present. Espresso becomes a common daily ritual for a variety of people because a quick visit to the bar can fit into practically any day. The punctuation is coffee. There was a pause, a reset, and then a more lucid return to the street. Light roasts from Scandinavia emphasize acidity and are frequently accompanied by leisurely conversation. Lighter roasting is praised in many Scandinavian coffee scenes because it preserves brightness and subtle aromatics. The cup invites you to focus on subtle variations rather than large intensity, and it can feel crisp at times, almost like tea. This reflects a social style that frequently values leisurely time spent together. During a lengthy conversation, coffee becomes something you return to, allowing it to cool and evolve with each sip. Bright notes can feel more accurate when the cup is not overheated, and cooler temperatures can reveal sweetness in a different way. Because lighter roasts can be less forgiving if the water is too cold or the contact time is too short, these coffees also tend to reward careful brewing. The experience can feel surprisingly elegant when it works. It may cast doubt on the notion that coffee should always have a rich, dark flavor. Rather, it tastes like clarity, like a winter window of light, and it awakens the conversation a bit. Robusta, which is balanced with sweetened condensed milk, is a common ingredient in Vietnamese coffee. Robusta is a key ingredient in many regional beverages, and Vietnam is one of the world's leading producers of coffee. Robusta pairs well with sweetened condensed milk because it can add a deep body and a strong bitterness. This milk produces a strong, dessert-like beverage that is thick, sweet, and shelf-stable. The key is the balance, particularly over ice in hot weather. The combination of bitter, sweet, heavy, and silky flavors can be incredibly satisfying. A tiny metal drip filter known as a fin is frequently used in the brewing process to let coffee trickle slowly into the glass. Before it meets the milk, the slow drip concentrates the flavor and creates suspense. Vietnamese coffee is an example of how a place can create a distinctive ritual out of readily available ingredients. It is not an attempt to imitate pour over culture or espresso. It is its own answer to taste, history, and climate. And instead of feeling inferior, it makes Robusta feel proud. The existence of coffee cocktails is due to the discernible interactions between alcohol and caffeine. Many cultures have combined coffee and alcohol because it produces a unique experience. Alcohol can ease social tension and promote physical relaxation. Caffeine can improve focus and lessen fatigue. Coffee cocktails appear after dinner, at parties, and in nightlife settings because they can simultaneously make one feel awake and celebratory. The pairing of flavors is also important. Coffee's deep aroma, roast, and bitterness can counterbalance creamy and sweet ingredients. Additionally, it can complement darker spirits with aging notes of vanilla and caramel. Irish coffee, for example, gained popularity because it feels bright and warm, like dessert with a heartbeat. Additionally, there is a crucial warning. Caffeine can mask drowsiness without lessening the effects of alcohol on judgment and coordination, and feeling less exhausted does not equate to being less impaired. Coffee cocktails are intriguing because they demonstrate how two potent substances can change the atmosphere of a space and are as much about perception as taste. Because coffee beans and berries share compounds, coffee flavors can mimic those of fruit. It may seem improbable that coffee could evoke images of citrus, blueberries, or strawberries. However, chemistry lends credence to it. Because coffee and fruits can share aromatic compounds, your nose can identify familiar patterns even when the source is different. Growing conditions, processing decisions, and roasting techniques can all highlight those compounds. Even though you are drinking a roasted seed, a lightly roasted coffee from a high elevation area may have sense that your brain interprets as fruit. This explains why tasting notes can differ from person to person and feel surprisingly specific. You're not actually tasting berries. You are identifying aromatic signatures that overlap and comparing them to your memory. This effect can be enhanced by processing, particularly when fermentation and fruit sugars support aromatic development. The end effect may be a cup that feels unexpected and vibrant, similar to finding a hidden relationship between two foods you never would have imagined going together. It starts in the invisible realm of molecules and is one of coffee's most delightful tricks. Coffee and gariness share a family tree in terms of botany. It's helpful to keep in mind that coffee has relatives, even if it seems like a world unto itself. Coffee is a member of the Rubiaceae, a large plant family. The Gardneria is among the most well-known members of that family. There is more to that connection than meets the eye. Considering that many plants in this family are adept at producing fragrant molecules, it suggests why coffee can produce such expressive aromas. Additionally, it serves as a reminder that coffee is not a product of industrialization. It is a flowering plant that coexists with its evolutionary cousins in hedges and gardens. Those who are only familiar with the roasted coffee bean may be surprised by the sweet aroma of the white flowers that bloom. Its botanical heritage includes that scent. Imagine the larger family of plants that have been perfecting fragrance for millions of years, each in their own unique way under the sun and rain. The next time you smell coffee brewing, coffee plants are capable of mutating to produce new varieties with unique cup profiles. Breeding programs are not the only way that coffee varieties are produced. Nature occasionally adds a new chapter to the narrative. Unusual leaf shapes, altered growth habits, or cherries that mature slightly differently are examples of mutations. A tree that sticks out in the field may be noticed by farmers who will then plant more of it. That one distinction may develop into a named variety with its own reputation if the plant performs well over time. The intriguing aspect is that even minor genetic alterations can have an impact on taste. One type may be lighter and more flowery. Another could taste more spicy or syrupy. Not every cup will have these variations. However, with careful farming and roasting, they can be striking. Additionally, mutations serve as a reminder that, despite becoming a global commodity, coffee is still alive and evolving. Every new variety is an ongoing experiment. It has an opportunity for the plant to adapt to local conditions and for people to experience a flavor they've never had before. Certain types are resistant to the devastating disease known as leaf rust. One of the most dreaded hazards in areas where coffee is grown is leaf rust. Spores are how it spreads. It can weaken a plant to the point where yields collapse and leaves are marked with powdery orange patches. It can result in a year of labor with little to show for farmers. In response, producers and plant treaters have created and embraced more resistant. Saving crops is not the only goal of that resistance. In areas with limited resources, it can stabilize farming and lessen the need for chemical controls. However, tension also exists here. The market won't reward the change if a rust-resistant variety doesn't taste good. As a result, the work becomes a balancing act between quality and survival. You are tasting more than just a crop when you purchase coffee from a farm that has been subjected to rust pressure. Season after season, it is defended, modified, and fought for. Coffee zones are under threat from climate change, which is pushing suitable areas further away. The timing of rainfall and temperature have an impact on coffee. It becomes more difficult to grow high-quality coffee in some areas when average temperatures rise and the weather becomes less predictable. Flowering success may be lowered by heat stress. Drought or heavy rain can strike at the wrong time, and pests can spread to new locations. Numerous predictions indicate that coffee can flourish in different places, usually at higher altitudes where the climate is still cooler. That may seem easy, but it's not. There isn't much room for mountains. The use of land is complicated. Communities are tied to their location, and farms are not always mobile. Climate adaptation in coffee is therefore urgent and innovative. Farmers test new cultivars, irrigation techniques, shade systems, and harvest schedules. It implies that coffee is more than just a flavor story for consumers. The story is about the climate. Each cup has a connection to landscapes that are changing due to rain and temperature. Additionally, how well people adapt without losing their jobs will determine coffee's future. Because unripe cherries have a sharply astringent taste, farmers use selective picking. Astringency is the puckering, drying feeling that can give a cup a rough texture. Cherries that were harvested before they were ready are frequently used to make coffee. Unripe fruit may contain less developed sweetness and harsher compounds. Additionally, that imbalance can endure through all subsequent steps. Selective picking is important because of this. Experts cherry pickers leave greener fruit for later passes and select cherries based on color and texture. That choice could mean the difference between a clear, sweet cup and one that is tight and tongue-scratching. Another labor-intensive process is selective picking. It requires careful management, time, and training. It is more expensive and demands more of all parties. However, since it begins with selecting the appropriate raw material, it is among the simplest methods for a farm to enhance quality. Selective picking is frequently one of the unnoticed factors that contribute to a smooth and satisfying cup of coffee. Because a bad beam can tarnish a badge, coffee grading looks for flaws. Coffee is typically graded and sorted to eliminate flaws before it is sent to a roaster. A bean that was broken during processing, fermented incorrectly, dried unevenly, or harmed by insects can all be considered defective. While some flaws are visible, others are hidden until they are exposed by heat. Grading is important because coffee is brewed collectively. Unpleasant flavors from a single roasted defective bean can permeate the entire cup, particularly if the defect has a strong flavor like moldy mustiness or sour fermentation. Layers are used for sorting. Visual inspection is one method. Density sorting is present. Color separation machines are available. Additionally, human hands continue to catch what machines fail to. It is a painstaking process that shields the drinker from unexpected events. Additionally, it safeguards the farmer's labor. Even though a farm does a lot of things correctly, a few flaws can skew the entire outcome. In addition to serving as quality control, grading shows appreciation for the line of work that got the coffee this far. Effective drying, storage, and quality control reduce the risk of Since coffee is an agricultural product, mold can pose a threat to it under certain circumstances. Coffee that is kept in damp, warm environments or that is left to wet for an extended period of time is more likely to produce a compound that some molds can produce. Good practices significantly lower this risk, which is comforting. Moisture is reduced to safer levels through proper drying. Beans cannot reabsorb humidity if they are stored cleanly. Beans that are obviously damaged and more likely to cause issues are removed through sorting and inspection. Particularly in regulated markets, many manufacturers, exporters, and importers also depend on testing and quality systems. The unglamorous steps are important because of this. Flavor and safety are safeguarded by drying beds, moisture checks, warehouse conditions, and cautious packaging. It serves as yet another reminder that coffee quality extends beyond flavor. Process discipline is what it is. You are unaware of those systems when they are operating. You simply notice that your cup feels reliable and your coffee tastes clean. Although they can improve soil, coffee grounds are not a full-fledged fertilizer. It seems like spent coffee grounds would be ideal for gardens. They have an earthy scent. They have organic matter that the soil can use, and they resemble compost. Grounds can enhance soil texture and promote microbial life when added to compost or used carefully. However, they are not a complete plant food by themselves. They don't supply all the nutrients in the proper proportions. Additionally, if they are applied too thickly, they may clump, which could limit the amount of air in the soil and slow water movement. Additionally, they can alter soil conditions depending on the situation, particularly if a gardener uses them frequently in one area. Grounds are treated as one of several ingredients in the optimal method. Add leaves, kitchen scraps, and other compost materials to the pile and allow it to turn everything into a stable soil amendment. The idea that a morning drink can return to the earth is satisfying, but like most natural cycles, it functions best in balance. Seasonal crop variations can be mitigated by blends that have a consistent flavor throughout the year. Around the world, coffee is harvested in waves. Furthermore, every crop year has slight variations in sweetness and brightness, rain patterns change, and temperatures fluctuate, so no two harvests are alike. A blend may serve as a stable foundation. Coffees that complement one another are combined by roasters to maintain a consistent profile in the finished cup, even when one of the ingredients is altered. One cup of coffee could add depth and body. Another could provide aroma and lift. A smooth finish that ties everything together could be added by a third. Because of this, a lot of cafes base their identities on house blends, particularly for milk drinks, where balance is more important than fine detail. Blending is an act of creativity as well. It involves tasting, patience, and adjustment, and is more akin to composition than copying. Nothing is hidden in a great blend. It seeks to achieve harmony. It provides you with a dependable cup that adapts to the changing seasons, without requiring you to track those changes on a weekly basis. Although models and effects differ, fair trade seeks to improve terms. Fundamentally, it is an effort to lessen the harshness of trade for farmers, particularly when market prices decline or buyers have excessive power. Standards, audits, and a premium meant to assist producers and community initiatives are all part of many fair trade systems. Coffee is frequently sold through cooperatives, which can improve negotiations and facilitate resource sharing among farmers. However, the outcomes vary from place to place. Certification regulations vary. Not all coffee from a certified farm is sold under the label, and participation costs money. Without utilizing the mark through direct connections or other sustainability initiatives, some customers pay more than fair trade. The key point is that coffee is more than just flavor. It is a series of agreements as well. One strategy for strengthening that chain is fair trade. Additionally, it functions best when combined with openness, sustained dedication, and a genuine interest in the flow of risk and money through the system. Cupping, a standardized method of tasting and scoring, is the foundation of specialty coffee. People from different countries can talk about coffee with some consistency because cupping is a common language for quality. The setup is straightforward but well organized. Hot water is poured over ground coffee that has been placed in bowls. Tasters break the floating crust and inhale the aroma after a predetermined amount of time. Then, as the coffee cools, they taste again because temperature affects perception. Fragrance, clarity, sweetness, balance, and aftertaste are all factors that judges consider. Additionally, they keep an eye out for flaws that could weaken or change flavor. Cupping is important because it produces calibration. Even if they have different tastes, a farmer, a buyer, and a roaster can all taste the same coffee and agree on what it is. It's also a time of exploration. Coffees from various regions can be arranged on a single table, and you can sample how processing and variety manifest in the cup during a single session. Cupping increases the perception of aroma by spreading liquid through. Although it may sound rude, there is a purpose for this technique. Coffee and air are drawn together when you slurp, causing the liquid to spray finely across your tongue and the roof of your mouth. More surface contact increases the perception of flavor. Much of the detail in coffee is experienced in the back of the throat, where the additional air aids in the upward passage of aromatic compounds into the nose. Additionally, slurping slightly cools the liquid, allowing for safe tasting while retaining warm aromas. Because tasters are attempting to treat each sample fairly, there is a constant sound in a cupping room. They want the same delivery, the same level of intensity, and the same opportunity to pick up on minute variations. It serves as a reminder that tasting is an active process. Similar to changing a camera's focus, it is a controlled action that modifies what you can detect. A flavor wheel is used in coffee tasting to map common sensory notes. It can be challenging to characterize coffee without resorting to ambiguous terms like strong or smooth. Structure is provided by a flavor wheel. Fruity, floral, spicy, and nutty are some of the initial broad categories. It then divides into more detailed descriptions that facilitate communication. In real life, this is important to talk about quality and monitor how adjustments to roasting or processing impact the cup. Farmers and roasters use common terminology. It helps baristas suggest coffees to customers that they might like. Additionally, it develops focus. As you expand your vocabulary, you become more aware of how musicians perceive harmonies once they are aware of what to listen for. Everyone is not required to taste the same thing by the wheel. It provides a set of points of reference to make discussions more understandable. Additionally, it can add fun to coffee. A cup turns into a tiny puzzle. The drink becomes an experience you can truly describe when you taste, compare, and select words. Water problems, not coffee beans, can cause coffee to taste salty. It's easy to blame the roast or the cafe if a cup tastes strangely briny. Sometimes, the water is the true cause. A salty impression may be caused by a water softener that is not properly adjusted, high sodium in the local supply, or specific mineral imbalances. Plumbing and storage may also be involved, particularly if the water acquires flavors while being transported to the kettle. Because the balance of flavors changes and odd notes become more noticeable. Saltiness can also manifest when extraction is uneven. For this reason, tasting the water alone is frequently the first step in troubleshooting coffee. Coffee will enhance any off flavors in the water. The good news is that there may be a straightforward solution. Coffee can be revitalized with improved filtration, different water, or minor maintenance adjustments. A salty cup of beans is frequently not a mystery. It is an indication of the invisible component. Whereas under-extraction tastes thin and sour, over-extraction tastes drying and bitter. A timed release is brewing. As extraction goes on, the cup changes and different compounds emerge from the grounds at different times. If you pull too much, the coffee may taste harsh, bitter, and arousing due to the dominance of the later compounds. If you pull too little, the cup may feel sharp, watery, or hollow because the early acids don't have enough sweetness and depth to support them. Diagnosis is a useful skill. A finer grind, warmer water, or a little longer contact time can often improve a sour cup. A coarser grind, slightly colder water, or a shorter brew can often improve a harsh, Drying cup. Small changes have a big impact because coffee reacts fast. For the same reason, regular recipes are soothing. You can intentionally change the outcome when you have control over the dose, grind, and time. Luck is not what extraction is. Your palate indicates which way to pull on this set of levers. Since oils quickly turn rancid, a clean cup starts with clean equipment. Coffee leaves fine particles and oils on everything it comes into contact with. From carfs to basket walls to burrs in grinders, the residues lose their freshness. They oxidize and become stale with time. And like a background fog, that staleness can seep into each cup. Even with great coffee beans, it can make the coffee taste bland, cardboard-like, or strangely bitter. Because old oils can coat new grounds before they even come into contact with water, grinders are particularly crucial. Because warm surfaces hasten undesirable changes, brewers are also important. It's not a dramatic fix. It involves routine cleaning using techniques appropriate for the equipment and rinsing to ensure that no cleaner taste is left. When compared to new equipment, this is one of the most underappreciated improvements for coffee makers at home, and it costs nearly nothing. Aroma is protected by clean equipment. It makes sweetness obvious, because yesterday's residue isn't rewriting today's cup. It also makes your brewing more consistent. Each cup is brewed using temperature and time, creating a miniature chemistry lab. There are dozens of variables involved in the extraction experiment, that is, coffee brewing. Solubility is altered by heat. The water's ability to travel into particles varies with time. The rate at which fresh water reaches the ground is altered by agitation. What dissolves and when is altered by the brewer's shape, which also alters flow. This explains why two cups made with the same beans may have distinct flavors. One could feel sweet and sparkle, another could feel sharp or dull. There is no abstraction in the chemistry. It takes place in your hands. The grind is up to you. How long the water remains is up to you. You get to decide how prickly it moves and how hot it is. Then, sip by sip, your senses gauge the outcome. The process's complexity and accessibility are amazing. It can be steered without a lab coat. All you need is focus and a readiness to adapt. Because coffee is chemistry that you can taste right away in a single mug, it encourages curiosity. As our coffee journey draws to a close, you can allow the ideas to settle like coffee grounds at the bottom of a cup. We strolled past blossoming trees on the slopes of mountains to cherries that ripen gradually. We tracked coffee through harvest decisions, washing and drying, roasting crackles, and the tiny physics of brewing, where heat, water, and grind determine the final product. Before a sip ever reaches the tongue, we listened to how aroma guides the experience. We observed how metal can give a brew a rich feel and paper can give it a clean feel. We entered cafes and kitchens all over the world where coffee is consumed as a cool glass over ice on a warm day, as a brief stop at a bar, or as a leisurely ceremony shared with others. And throughout it all, the same basic seed continued to evolve, influenced by time, craft, and climate. If you have liked reading these drowsy science stories, you can help the channel by making a small donation. A quiet remark, a like, or a subscription keeps this section of the internet friendly and welcoming. Aditya Naji, another video ought to be waiting for you on the screen if you're still awake. You can now decide whether to save it for another evening or have one last cup. You have nothing more to do for the time being. Relax your jaw. Allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your breathing to come and go in its own gentle rhythm. You don't have to follow your thoughts if they come to you. Let them even go by like steam vanishing from a cup. Good night, and rest well.